Okay, Charlie, welcome to Latin America. So we have many countries here. Welcome everyone to this program. Charlie is a very good friend of us. He's one of the first people from outside India who came in touch with Brahma Kumaris. He became a member, and at present he lives in the wonderful city of Sydney in Australia. And so for him, it's Friday there, Friday morning. So he's our head advance in relation to us. Um, Charlie is a person that inspires, really. He inspires people a lot. And that's why we have him here. This program is to celebrate the life of our founder, Prajapita Brahma. He was our father founder, and he passed away in 69, January 18th. So every year we do something special. And we invite Charlie because one of the topics that Brahma, he inspired people was to have hope in themselves. This is a moment where hope is really needed. So we want Charlie to share with us about hope in these very difficult times. So Charlie, welcome again and all yours. Thank you for being here with us.
So thank you so much, Marcelo. And I feel so privileged to be meeting all of you in Latin America, in South America. As Marcelo said, it's Friday, almost lunchtime in Australia, and you're late Thursday evening, so the world is really a wonder. And what I'd like to do today is just to share some of my own experiences of the journey towards hope and what I've also learned from the founder of the Brahma Kumaris and how that has really inspired me to have a lot more hope in myself, in others, and the future. And when I look at our world, I think, what an incredible world we live in. 7.8 billion human beings, 195 countries, 6,500 spoken languages in our world, and 4,500 religions. What an incredible world. But that is what I would call the outer world, the physical world, the world which we see through our eyes. But what about the inner world, the unseen world, the world which lives in our mind? That is also an extraordinary world. Our mind can create around 70,000 unique thought patterns in a waking day. Our mind can be aware on 7 different levels at the same time. We can be processing information on 7 different levels. And this mind is really, it's instant. Light moves at 186 miles a second, but the mind or thoughts are absolutely instant. And it's this unseen world that is influencing the world we see around us. And what we are seeing in our world around us is our political systems falling apart, our economic systems falling apart, our social systems falling apart, even our family and relationship systems. But what is feeding the world we're seeing through our eyes? It's our collective mind. It's our collective consciousness. When 7.8 billion of us are pumping out negative thinking, what is the result? And so when the collective human mind is full of greed, the result, we have a materialistic culture that's destroying our environment. When the collective human mind is full of ego, what is the result? We just have self-interest. I'm just interested in me and my family. No compassion or understanding for others. When the collective human mind is full of anger, that manifests as war and violence everywhere. And so seeing the physical world falling apart, Brahma Baba founded the Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual University because he didn't want to provide temporary hope, more economic policies, more political policies, but he wanted to provide permanent hope for our hearts and our minds by educating us to learn who I am, who I belong to, and really what is happening in our world. And this university began in the 1930s and is now all over the world, as you saw in the video, offering hope to all types of people from all types of backgrounds. And how powerful is hope? You know, I was in South Africa when Nelson Mandela became the president. It was wonderful. It was like a whole country of 40 million people having a party. There's 4 racial groups there, the blacks, the coloreds, the whites, and the Asians. And it was like they were having a party. But you know, Nelson Mandela was jailed for 27 years. A lot of that time he was in solitary confinement. They put him on his own. He had to do hard labor every day. When his mother died, they wouldn't let him go to the funeral. When his son was killed in a car accident, they wouldn't let him go and mourn with the family. And he was asked, how did he survive? His answer, hope. Hope enabled him to survive. And he said that hope is really a great power when all things are lost. When everything is lost, the greatest weapon is hope. And I think many of us feel, looking at our world, looking at our societies, almost everything is lost. But we always have hope. Hope is really the greatest resource of the human spirit. And to me, hope is an optimistic state of mind based on the expectation of a positive outcome. Hope is an optimistic state of mind based on an expectation that something better will happen. And you know, many years ago, the Brahma Kumaris created a project called Global Cooperation for a Better World. And we went to 140 countries to ask people, what is your vision of a better world? We went to the poorest countries of the world. We went to countries that were at war. We went into refugee camps. We went into prisons. And underneath the anger, the negativity, the sarcasm, the cynicism, we found every human being has hope. It may be deep, deep down below, buried deep inside, but every human being has hope for a better me, a better life, and a better world. And this is really what Brahma Baba tapped into. That hope that lives in the heart of every human soul, even though often life seems so hopeless externally. And so he set up this spiritual university to really give hope to everyone. And first, he gave hope to women. He gave the responsibility of this organization to women. And now this organization is the largest spiritual group in the world administered by women. It's an incredible achievement. And it's really like preparing us for the future. But Brahma Baba set a curriculum at this university to regain a sense of hope, no matter what is happening around me. And the first thing he taught is to understand why sometimes we feel so hopeless inside. Why sometimes we feel so inferior, so inadequate, so negative or so critical about ourselves. What I have learned in my life is that we can be so confident externally. We can be confident to pass an exam, run a company, be a manager, but it doesn't mean I like who I am or I really have hope in myself. And so Brahma Baba established this university, and the first thing he spoke about, the first step to hope, was to understand the realization or the reason I feel hopeless is that I've forgotten who I am. When I forget who I am, I think I'm just a temporary body. My sense of identity is all the labels of my body. And so the light of the soul is covered by two shadows. Two shadows are blocking out the light of hope inside of me. The first shadow is my ego. It's like the eye of arrogance or the eye of superiority. And when this eye rules my inner system, I compare with others and I think, I am better, I know more, I am right. But when it comes into my feelings, that's when I feel so easily insulted, disrespected, not valued, excluded, sensitive. And so when I'm under the influence of my ego, there's like a sense of hopelessness about myself. Because what is the role of ego? Ego makes you feel separate. It tells you you're different. You feel you don't belong. But it's a construct of my own thinking. There's a deep relationship between ego and love. The more ego I have, the less love I have in life. And when we don't have that sense of love and belonging, I feel hopeless. I feel lost. And so he began to teach that the first reason I'm hopeless is because of my ego deceiving me. But the second is also a child of forgetting who I am, which is the ego of inferiority. And this I is the I of lack of self-respect. When this I is ruling inside, I compare with others and I think others are better, others know more, others are right, others don't love me, others don't value me, others don't respect me. And when it comes into my feelings, I feel so, unworthy, not good enough, inadequate, hopeless, depressed. Depression is the word we use for hopelessness today. And when I'm feeling depressed, in psychology, depression is like a sadness that my dream in life to be loved and valued hasn't happened. But in spirituality, depression is like a mourning for the loss of my true identity. I'm living my life, but who am I really? So Brahma Baba could see that the epidemic of hopelessness, that I'd forgotten who I am. When I think I'm a temporary body, my mind is constantly deceived by my ego and my lack of self-respect. And when I lack self-respect, You know, it's like self-respect is my own evaluation of the inner me. It's not an evaluation of my skills, my talents, my abilities, my successes. It's fundamentally how I feel about myself. Sometimes I can be universally loved, but I can't love myself. Sometimes I can be universally respected, admired, but I can't admire myself. Sometimes I'm a high achiever, but I constantly feel a failure, that I'm not good enough. I hold these deep beliefs about myself. And what Brahma Baba did was set up a university to study who I am and how to deconstruct these false beliefs about myself that make me feel hopeless. How did he do that? By teaching me how to practice who I am. And he taught that the reality of life is that I am an infinitesimal soul, a tiny point. The wonder is this point exists. I, the eternal soul, exists, but I have no size. I'm non-physical. The soul comes into a body when there's movement in the womb. The soul sits on the throne of the forehead. The soul has no gender, no nationality, no religion. But as soon as I identify with the body, I take on those labels and I forget who I am. So Brahma Baba actually began to educate us, not just to know and not just to believe, but how to experience myself as a soul. I have been studying in this university for 45 years, and I found the more I've unpacked this truth, that I am an eternal, immortal, non-physical being, that the more I have hope in myself, and naturally my sense of self-value comes. It's like coming home to a place inside where you feel so comfortable about who you are. You take the pressure off yourself to look good, to be noticed, to impress other people. And I begin to accept myself. And so the first step that Brahma Baba taught to rebuild hope in us was to understand why I've become hopeless, the shadows of my own ego and lack of self-respect, and to begin to practice the reality of who I am as an eternal spiritual being. The second step on the journey back to a life full of hope was to experience love. And the whole foundation of this spiritual university is built on love. This is really my experience. And he used to say that we've searched for true love. We've invested our heart in our relationships, in our families. All of you on this webinar, think how much you've given to your family, to your community, to your friends. You've given so much, but there's a huge human dilemma that no relationship is permanent. Whether it's time, whether it's change, whether it's conflict, whether it's death, the object of my love goes. And that's made me feel so insecure and fearful and hopeless. But Brahma Baba taught that there is one permanent relationship. That's the relationship of I, the eternal soul, with my eternal mother and father. And what he taught was that just as I am a soul, a point, God is an eternal soul too, a point. The form of a point is changeless. And the power of God is that God never changes. We are constantly transforming and changing. But it's like God is a real living soul, not a concept, not a belief, a conscious soul that is always pure, that is never influenced, that retains truth. And that when I forget myself and forget this connection, which is my constant source of love, I move into this sense of hopelessness. Even I would say grief, a grief that I've lost this love and belonging that I feel really is my right in life. And so those two steps, to first know and experience who I am, the first step to hope. The second step is to connect the subtle thread of my intellect to God. And these days, I would even say that when we sit to meditate, you know, if I say to you, now let's sit and meditate, sometimes my heart wants to meditate. I really want to taste peace, feel peace, live peace. But my mind wanders everywhere. And I start to feel like meditation means I have to change myself. So what did Brahma Baba say? When he established this university, he just said, remember God. Why? Because everything he taught is natural. The most natural thing for all of us is to remember. Even as I am speaking, you are remembering family members, remembering what you have to do, remembering what happened yesterday. And each time you remember, it's like the thread of your intellect touches what you remember. Whether it's a person sitting beside you or someone on the other side of the world, it's like you connect. And each time you connect, three things happen. You first connect, it's like you plug into that thought or that memory or that person. You are instantly influenced. And when you're influenced, you have a feeling inside. And so what Brahma Baba began to teach was that whatever you remember will create how you feel inside. So if you remember the things of the past and the problems, you're going to feel hopeless. But if I remember the right things, I'm going to be full of hope. And so if you're sitting there at home now, and you remember a family member you have a very loving relationship with, you're close. As soon as you connect, you're influenced by that love, you feel warm and secure. But if you remember, if the thread of your mind goes to a family member, a person you're in conflict with, you're not getting on, the instant you touch, you feel uncomfortable, you feel anxious, your thoughts start to go fast, and you feel peaceless inside. The logic that Brahma Baba taught was that if I remember a constant source of love, if that is the main influence on my mind, I connect with that love, I'm influenced by that love, and I feel that love inside. That love is a trigger for the experience of self-respect and feelings of hope in myself and hope in others around me. And so it's natural. And what he taught was the first step is that the most natural thing in life is to fall in love. Do we have to be taught how to fall in love? I don't think so. We all know how to do it. But he said, fall in love with the divine, fall in love with God, not in a religious or devotional way, but make God your lover. Understand the beauty. This is a real relationship. Why? Because when you fall in love, you naturally remember the one you love. And when you naturally remember the one you love, you naturally change. You transform. And you step out of these feelings of hopelessness and unhappiness and sadness and past memories, and you start to tap into the feelings of hope. And so what Brahma Baba taught in this university was, as you move around in your life, whatever you do, remember God, remember the Supreme. And he really emphasized this, and he practiced it himself. The Brahma Kumaris do not see him as a guru. He was a good example. He was someone who was a wonderful example, but not a guru to be worshipped or venerated, but a teacher to learn from, because he was also practicing how to remember God. Because when I remember God, I tap into an ocean of love. And it's almost like a thought away, I can connect to an unlimited source of pure love, of belonging, of closeness, of intimacy. And I allow myself to be loved. That love is the secret key to maintaining hope in the most hopeless situations. You know, even Nelson Mandela, when he was in prison for 27 years on his own a lot of the time, he actually turned to God at that time. He read all the scriptures. He turned to God at that time. That is what gave him hope amongst the most hopeless situation that he was in. Because what happens is when I connect, when I remember the Supreme Soul, I am influenced and I download these elevated vibrations in my mind. You know that beautiful feeling of love, of lightness, of warmth, of peace? We all know it. I can do it at will. It's just a thought away. And when I have that feeling inside of my mind, it sustains me. It sustains the atmosphere around me, and it sustains my family naturally. My vibrations are like a force field that uplifts and brings hope even to others. And so there's 3 laws that Brahma Baba taught. Firstly, pay attention to what I remember, because whatever I plug into will create how I feel. If I plug into God, I have hope. If I plug into the past, I plug into people, I plug into problems, I will feel hopeless. And that becomes my reality. Second, he said, whatever I remember will influence me. And third, he said, whatever influences me, that is how I feel inside. So I would say, whenever you feel hopeless, whenever you feel unhappy, just ask yourself one question only. What am I remembering? What am I remembering? Yes, when we start to worry about the economy, when we start to worry about the future, when we start to worry about the virus, my mind starts to feed off the sense of hopelessness. And it's so habitual. So it takes effort. And that's where Brahma Baba inspired us to keep practicing, to keep the connection. Thirdly, he also offered hope that a new world is coming. And he said that the time moves in a cycle, and we're at the end of a culture of body consciousness, a culture that's all over the world, that when I forget my true self and I only think I'm a temporary body, then all our relationships, life is under the influence of negativity, my ego of inferiority and fear and so many things. And when we're becoming soul conscious, he said, this is the seed of building a new culture. And so he began to give hope about the future, that when we change, the world will change around us. And that's why when all of us listening to this realize Our world will only change when we change. And when I start to practice who I am, when I start to remember the divine, developing this loving relationship, when I start to create hope, then I start to spread that hope too. And so he really inspired us that there is this time of transition. It's a time of upheaval because an old culture is dying in a way and a new culture based on awareness of truth of who I am and the divine is being born. And so he then taught to sustain hope in my life. I have to build a structure into my daily life because our habit is to let my mind remember those negative things and start to feel hopeless. And then I start to talk to people about me feeling hopeless, I influence them, or I listen to others who are feeling hopeless, they influence me. So what he said, knowing the reality of the challenges of life today, is to build a little structure into my everyday, to sustain myself. And there's really 3 approaches we can take to spiritual life. We can do it like a hobby. We can come onto a webinar like this and we may enjoy it. We feel a bit uplifted for a few minutes, but then as soon as we turn it off, my old thoughts come back again. So we may do meditation occasionally, or we can do it as a discipline, just like exercise. If I exercise regularly, I get fit. So I may meditate, I may practice meditation, remembering regularly. And that's a very good thing to do. But often what happens, as soon as I finish my meditation, my thoughts go back to the old perceptions, the old ideas, the old thinking. And so the hopelessness creeps back once again. So Brahma Baba said, this is a spiritual university. You need to set up a structure every day. And that's where he taught spirituality as a lifestyle. To every single morning wake up and sit in meditation. Remind myself of who I am and feel that divine love entering the core of your being and healing you and bringing back those feelings of hope. And then during the day, even though I'm busy, I try to maintain the awareness of who I am and maintain the awareness of this relationship. So even though I face problems, I face difficult people, I now have tools inside to sustain hope, even in situations where other people lose hope. And this is where he really taught us to become self-sufficient, to actually rebuild my inner world so that I can go into any environment and carry my positive state of mind and not absorb the negativity around me. And he taught that the more I practice this, I become pure. And when I become pure, I'm not influenced. All the things, the attitudes, the behaviors, the opinions, they don't affect me so much. And so the next thing he really taught towards hope was not only to create hope in myself, not only to build sort of a lifestyle that would really help me sustain hope in my mind as I go about my day, but to spread the feelings of hope to others. And I would say this spiritual university is so much about transforming the self, and just through your own transformation, we offer support to those around me. And so he said, whenever we communicate with other people, we do it on 3 levels. One is what we say. The other is my face. People read your face. And the third is your vibrations, the feelings that you give to other people. But what he said, the biggest impact is the non-verbal, your face and feelings. And so when I meditate, when I remember, and my mind radiates through my face is the index of my mind. So my mind has a message of hope. My vibrations have a message of hope. And so when I communicate to others, it's not just lip service. My whole feeling, my whole company uplifts. Anyone who met Brahma Baba felt so uplifted because he had the vision, an elevated vision on absolutely everyone. The uneducated, the young, the elderly, it did not matter who they were. He saw beyond the present state, the present set of problems, the sense of inferiority that most of us carry and hopelessness, and he could see the original beauty in each one. So his vision would fall on their goodness, and because of that, they would grow into that goodness. And then he taught us to do the same too. That as I rebuild the feelings of self-respect and hope in myself, then I am able to offer those feelings to others and everyone that I come in touch with. And so he really gave us this very practical formula for rebuilding hope, even in a world which is feeling more and more hopelessness. And firstly, to know and experience myself as the eternal soul. And when I'm soul conscious, to look through the eye of the mind, connect, meet with the Supreme Soul, remember, the subtle thread remembers, the one who is an ocean of love, an ocean of peace, an ocean of hope, an ocean of goodwill. It's not my imagination. It's not just a religious belief. It's a real living connection. And when my mind is full of those feelings, then I start to spread those feelings. And I know that so many of us today are not only worried about me, we're probably even more worried about children and family members. And we think about it, we speak about it too. How can I support my family members? You can give emotional support or emotional hope, where you keep encouraging, you know, every day encouraging and giving that goodwill and encouragement to them, you know, and you lift them up, and then maybe the next day they come back and they've lost hope once again. But spiritual support is through your attitude, you hold their value. This is what Brahma Baba did. You see beyond the present state, you see their beauty. Your vision is on their goodness, their fundamental goodness. This is such a power that brings people out. When someone has faith in them, when someone invests trust in them, it really brings them out of their sense of hopelessness. So the power of your spiritual practice can actually naturally support those around you. It is a really, really difficult world in which we're living in. There's no doubt. No one is going to pretend otherwise. But the lessons that this world is offering are wonderful, because it's telling me to go back to what is really important, go back to the truth. And I have to go back to the essence of who I am, who I belong to, and really what is really important in life. And you know, Dante, the Italian philosopher, once said, hell amounts to hopelessness. He said hell amounts to hopelessness. And unfortunately, this epidemic around us, none of us like to see it. But the way I can help is to rebuild the hope in myself with my own regular spiritual practice. And the more I do that without even thinking, I will really offer that hope to those I love and people I come in touch with. So I really do feel that really to be sitting in this awareness that hope is always there, rekindle that spark and keep it burning inside of you. Yes, it does take effort. And this is why if we keep the company of others who are on a similar journey, a spiritual journey, because what is happening in our world at the moment, as we see the world disintegrating into a negative direction, so many like us are wanting to grow it into a positive direction. And this is why the Brahma Kumaris was formed, why Brahma Baba formed this university, is to help us move back into self-awareness, and that being the foundation of a new world, a new society, and a new culture. So what I would like to do now is I would love to invite you to join me for a journey into hope, a meditation to rebuild the feelings of hope deeply in myself. So can I request that wherever you are sitting at home, if you don't mind, if you've got things in your hands or devices or distractions, just for a few minutes, let us really sit very quietly and listen to the thoughts that are suggested with the aim to feel them. Come on the journey to feel the experience of hope. And so let me open my heart to travel this journey. Let me begin the inner journey to that sweet place that lives in each one of us. The place of hope. The place of seeing a positive future. The place of goodwill. To begin this journey, I first need to reconnect with my true self. Wherever you're sitting, whether in a chair or even outside, just visualize yourself as the infinitesimal point, the tiny soul that lives in the front of the brain, in the center of the forehead. And just begin to become aware, this is who I really am. This is my permanent self. My body is a wonderful instrument. but it's my temporary self. And just feel yourself letting go, identifying with what I do, my roles in life, my responsibilities. Just feel yourself mentally letting go, identifying with my role as a partner, a parent, a worker. Feel yourself stepping back. And now let me let go identifying with the labels of my body, my gender, my nationality, my religion. And feel you're on a journey to your essence, a journey to who you really are. And even now, let go identifying with my story. What has happened to me? What people have done to me? What people have said? Feel yourself moving, letting go, withdrawing, stepping back. Letting go all this conditioning, and sit so lightly in your forehead. I always exist. I, the soul, can never die. I am a peaceful soul. Just allow yourself to relax. Relax even more. Just let go. I am a peaceful soul. This is who I really am. And in this sweet state of inner calm and peace, I look through the eye of my mind and I see the light of God, a radiant jewel of light. And in this light, an unlimited ocean of love, of peace, of power. Feel the subtle thread of your mind touching this one relationship that's permanent, the lover of the soul. And as this subtle thread touches this divine being, feel this pure love emanating into the core of your soul. Just allow yourself to be completely loved. Don't have any other thoughts. Feel this pure love healing you, transforming you, empowering you. And the more I absorb, I begin to feel hope in myself. I begin to feel my own value. I begin to feel strong. And this love opens a feeling of self-respect. I begin to see who I really am and to hold that vision no matter how many things change around me. I will continue to hold this vision of who I really am. And this connection fills my mind with lovely feelings. I feel light. I feel easy. I feel loving. And I can feel my mind spreading these beautiful feelings into the atmosphere. And I see that the way I can support those I love is to maintain an elevated state of hope, an elevated state of awareness. And my mind becomes like a perfume that fills the atmosphere with hope, with positivity, with respect. And I begin to see that to sustain this beautiful feeling, I need to practice on a regular basis. To practice regularly is an act of love for myself. To rebuild this hope internally. Every day, I need to sit, experience who I am, connect with the divine, and practice in my family, in my workplace, to maintain this awareness. I begin to see that the world is changing. And the more I practice, I'm contributing to a better world. So, thank you so much, and thank you, Marcelo, and thank you, everybody, for your patience with translation. And really, thanks from the heart from me. Thank you, Marcelo.
Thank you, Charlie, for this moment. I mean, it was really great. Thank you very much for the hope you instill in people by all the energy you have given. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And again, also from my side, thanks for the whole team. This was a regional effort of many countries. So thanks a lot for everything, translation. So thank you very much, everyone. Please keep in touch with Brahma Kumaris. Just go to brahmakumaris.org and we take leave from you. So in 5 seconds, so you can think about 5 things you want to have hope for. So 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, and we go. Bye-bye. Thanks and
Bye,
good
Marcelo. Thank
morning,
you.
good morning,
Gracias.
Australia.
Gracias.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.